Imagine if you could steal solar panels from your neighbor's house, install them on your own roof, and use them for 10 months without anyone noticing. Now imagine doing this at a microscopic level, with surgical precision, and being completely legal, because you're just following your evolutionary programming. This isn't science fiction. This is exactly what happens every day in salt marshes along the Atlantic coast. Welcome to Curiosity AI Podcast, Episode 15, where we explore the most fascinating discoveries at the intersection of science and wonder. I'm your host, and today we're diving into one of nature's most incredible stories, the sea slug that commits what scientists call the perfect biological crime. Meet Elysia chlorotica, a tiny emerald green creature that looks like a floating leaf, but is actually one of the most sophisticated thieves in the natural world. This remarkable sea slug has mastered something that shouldn't be possible according to our basic understanding of biology. It steals the solar panels from plants and uses them to power itself for months. But this isn't just a cute nature story. Recent research from Harvard and other leading institutions is revealing mechanisms that could revolutionize biotechnology, inspire new medical devices, and challenge everything we thought we knew about the boundaries between plant and animal life. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why this tiny marine creature is capturing the attention of researchers worldwide, and how its biological theft might inspire technologies that could change our future. Before we dive into the incredible details, let me explain what makes this story so extraordinary. When most animals eat plants, they digest everything. The plant matter gets broken down into basic nutrients that the animal can absorb. It's like demolishing a house to use the materials for something completely different. But Elysia chlorotica does something remarkable. When it feeds on its preferred algae, Vaucaria littorea, it performs what can only be described as biological surgery. Using a specialized feeding structure called a radula, it carefully pierces the algal cells and extracts only the chloroplasts. These are the green organelles inside plant cells that capture sunlight and convert it into energy through photosynthesis. Think of chloroplasts as nature's solar panels. Every plant cell contains these tiny green machines that harvest light energy and transform it into chemical energy the plant can use. Now imagine being able to steal these solar panels and install them in your own body, where they continue working perfectly for months. This is exactly what Elysia chlorotica does. After extracting the chloroplasts, it transports them through its digestive system and integrates them into the cells lining its gut. These stolen organelles don't just survive, they continue photosynthesizing, converting sunlight into energy just as they would inside the original plant. The process is called kleptoplasty, which literally means stealing plastids, and Elysia chlorotica has perfected it like no other creature on Earth. Here's where this story becomes truly mind-blowing. These stolen chloroplasts don't just work for a few days or weeks. Elysia chlorotica can maintain functional photosynthesis for up to 10 months using hijacked plant machinery. That's longer than some plants keep their own chloroplasts functioning. For decades, scientists puzzled over a fundamental question. How does an animal maintain complex plant organelles without having plant genes? Chloroplasts require constant maintenance, repair proteins, and molecular support systems that are typically provided by the plant's nuclear DNA. It would be like keeping someone else's car running perfectly without having access to the manufacturer's repair manual or replacement parts. The answer, researchers discovered, doesn't involve stealing genes at all. Contrary to early theories, recent genomic studies have found no evidence that Elysia chlorotica incorporates algal DNA into its own genetic code. The slug remains genetically 100% animal throughout its entire life. So how does it work? The breakthrough came in 2025 when Harvard researchers made a stunning discovery. They found that these sea slugs have evolved specialized cellular containers called kleptosomes. These unique organelles act as protective chambers that house the stolen chloroplasts and provide them with the molecular support they need to survive and function. Think of kleptosomes as custom-built parking garages for stolen cars, complete with maintenance facilities and security systems. They represent an entirely new form of cellular organization that bridges the gap between plant and animal biology. This discovery has fundamentally changed our understanding of what's possible in cellular evolution. The implications of this biological theft extend far beyond marine biology. Elysia chlorotica has essentially solved one of biotechnology's greatest challenges, creating stable hybrid systems that combine the best features of different types of organisms. Consider the potential applications. Researchers are now exploring how these mechanisms might inspire biohybrid medical devices that could self-power using light, eliminating the need for battery replacements in implanted devices. Imagine pacemakers or insulin pumps that recharge themselves using the body's ambient light exposure through the skin. The energy sector is also paying attention. If we could understand and replicate the Slug's kleptosome technology, we might develop more efficient biofuel systems that combine the photosynthetic capabilities of plants with the metabolic flexibility of animals. These hybrid systems could potentially be more robust and productive than current algae-based biofuel approaches. Environmental monitoring represents another frontier. Self-sustaining biological sensors that operate indefinitely in sunlit environments could revolutionize how we track pollution, climate change, and ecosystem health. These systems could provide continuous data from remote locations without requiring battery maintenance or replacement. Perhaps most intriguingly, this research is contributing to our understanding of endosymbiosis, the process by which different organisms merge to create new forms of life. The chloroplasts in plant cells originally evolved from ancient bacteria that were engulfed by early plant ancestors. Elysia chlorotica might be showing us how new forms of biological partnership could evolve in the future. So where can you actually find these remarkable creatures, and what does their lifestyle tell us about the challenges they face? Elysia chlorotica inhabits shallow salt marshes and tidal creeks along the North American Atlantic coast, ranging from Nova Scotia down to Florida. Recent surveys have even documented new populations as far south as Tampa Bay, suggesting the species might be expanding its range. These emerald slugs are surprisingly small, typically measuring just 20 to 30 millimeters in length, though some individuals can reach up to 60 millimeters. Their leaf-like appearance provides perfect camouflage among the algae they hunt, making them nearly invisible to both predators and researchers who study them. But this specialized lifestyle also makes them vulnerable. Unlike generalist species that can adapt to different food sources or environmental conditions, Elysia chlorotica requires specific algae and optimal light conditions to maintain its remarkable photosynthetic abilities. Climate change poses multiple threats to their salt marsh habitats, from sea level rise to ocean acidification to temperature fluctuations that could disrupt the delicate balance needed for successful kleptoplasty. The conservation implications extend beyond just protecting these individual creatures. Salt marsh ecosystems are among the most productive and important habitats on Earth, serving as nurseries for countless marine species, natural barriers against storm surge, and significant carbon storage systems. When we protect the habitats that Elysia chlorotica depends on, we're also preserving entire ecosystems that provide critical services for human communities. This connects to larger questions about how we balance technological innovation with environmental protection. As we develop new biohybrid technologies inspired by creatures like Elysia chlorotica, we must also ensure that the natural systems that inspire these innovations remain healthy and intact for future generations to study and learn from. The research into kleptoplasty has opened exciting new directions for both basic science and practical applications. Scientists are now investigating whether similar mechanisms might exist in other organisms that we've simply overlooked. The ocean is vast and largely unexplored, and discoveries like Elysia chlorotica remind us that remarkable adaptations might be hiding in the most unexpected places. Future studies will likely focus on understanding the molecular details of how kleptosomes function. If researchers can decode the exact mechanisms that allow these cellular containers to maintain photosynthetic organelles, It could lead to breakthrough technologies that seemed impossible just a few years ago. The biotechnology applications are particularly promising. Companies are already exploring how to create hybrid biological systems for various industrial applications. Success in this field could lead to new forms of renewable energy, more efficient food production systems, and revolutionary approaches to medical treatment. There's also growing interest in using these discoveries for space exploration. Self-sustaining biological systems that can generate oxygen and food using minimal resources could be crucial for long-term space missions or establishing permanent settlements on other planets. Elysia chlorotica's ability to maintain complex biological machinery in challenging conditions provides a natural model for developing resilient life support systems. But perhaps the most important lesson from this tiny sea slug is about the importance of curiosity-driven research. Nobody studied Elysia chlorotica expecting to revolutionize biotechnology. Researchers were simply fascinated by an unusual creature that seemed to break the rules of biology. It's this kind of fundamental research that often leads to the most unexpected and valuable discoveries. The story of Elysia chlorotica challenges our most basic assumptions about the boundaries between different forms of life. This tiny emerald thief has shown us that the categories we use to organize biology, plant versus animal, photosynthetic versus heterotrophic, are far more fluid than we ever imagined. More than that, it demonstrates the incredible ingenuity of evolution. Over millions of years, this species developed the ability to steal, maintain, and utilize plant machinery while remaining fundamentally animal. It's biological engineering at its finest, accomplished without blueprints, without planning, simply through the relentless process of natural selection favoring whatever works. As we face our own technological challenges, from climate change to energy security to medical innovation, we might do well to pay closer attention to nature's master engineers. The solutions to some of our most pressing problems might already exist, perfected through millions of years of evolutionary research and development, waiting to be discovered in a tide pool or salt marsh. But this also reminds us of our responsibility as stewards of the natural world. Every ecosystem we lose, every species that goes extinct, represents the loss of potentially revolutionary knowledge. We simply don't know what remarkable adaptations might disappear before we have the chance to learn from them. The next time you're near a coastal area, take a moment to look closely at what might seem like ordinary plants floating in the water. One of them might just be nature's most accomplished solar engineer, quietly demonstrating that the impossible is just another day at the office in the natural world. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of nature's perfect crime. If this episode made you see the boundaries between life forms in a new way, please subscribe to Curiosity AI Podcast and share it with someone who loves learning about the incredible diversity of life on our planet. What other biological impossibilities do you think are hiding in nature, waiting to be discovered? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay curious, and remember that reality is often far stranger and more wonderful than anything we could imagine.